Imagine a throne room's golden glow, where crowns gleam and whispers carry empire's weight. But tonight, we're not chasing glory. We're slipping into history's hidden corners, where kings and queens stumble in the most human, absurd ways. Picture a Viking warrior undone by a dead foe's tooth, a pope felled mid-embrace in a forbidden bed, or a king whose laughter at a jester's quip turned fatal. These royal blunders, raw and unexpected, peel back the velvet curtain to reveal fragile hearts beneath the pomp. Yet, amidst these quirks, a poetess rises, her frail hand wielding a shield to save her city, her courage a quiet flame. These tales, woven with folly and valor, hum with life's tender irony. Can you hear the clink of a king's last feast? Feel the poet's defiant pulse. Dim the lights, let the night's hush cradle you, and wander with me into this strange, soulful past where every fall, every triumph, whispers a truth that lingers. All right, friend, here we are, gathered in the quiet glow of a night that's just beginning to unfold. You've settled in, maybe with a blanket, maybe with that soft hum of a fan in the background, ready to let the world slip away. We're not diving into grand battles or golden crowns tonight. Not yet. Instead, we're easing into a peculiar corner of history, a niche where the most powerful people, kings, queens, emperors, meet their ends in ways that are, well, less than regal. This is where we start, in the first gentle step of our journey, setting the tone for tales of royal demises that are absurd, ironic, and sometimes just plain ridiculous. So, take a deep breath, let the firelight flicker in your mind, and let's wander through this strange, sleepy world together. Picture a throne room, friend, all velvet and gold, where a king's word is law, and every gesture is watched by 100 eyes. These are the people who shaped empires, who wore crowns heavy with jewels and expectations. Their lives were a parade of ceremony coronations, feasts, wars won or lost, their names carved into stone for centuries to come. But their deaths? Oh, that's where things get interesting. Not every monarch fades gracefully in a velvet-draped bed, surrounded by weeping nobles. Some stumble out of history in ways that make you chuckle, or wince, or just shake your head. A king who eats too many pastries, another who meets his end on a privy, a warrior undone by a dead man's tooth. These aren't the stories they wanted told, but they're the ones that stick, like a tune you can't quite forget. This niche, this odd little corner of history, is where we're lingering tonight, where power meets absurdity, and where the mighty fall in ways that remind us they were, after all, just human. Why do these stories pull us in? Maybe it's because they're so unexpected. Royalty was supposed to be above the mess of ordinary life, untouchable, almost divine. Their courts were stages, every move choreographed, every word weighed. But death doesn't care about crowns or titles. It sneaks in, sometimes with a laugh, sometimes with a cruel twist. And suddenly a king's legacy is tied to a dessert or a monkey's bite. These tales are like cracks in the marble, showing us the fragility beneath the pomp. They're funny, sure, but they're also grounding. A queen who dies quietly on her privy, an emperor poisoned by his own quest for immortality. They remind us that no one, not even the greatest, gets to script their final moment. And in that, there's a strange comfort, a whisper that we're all stumbling through the same unpredictable world, crown or no crown. But it's not just about the laughs, friend. These stories are a window into the past, into the lives of people who shaped the world we know. Take a king who laughs himself to death behind that absurd end is a court full of jesters, nobles, and politics. A snapshot of a time when a joke could be as powerful as a sword. Or an emperor chasing eternal life with mercury pills his death tells us about ancient science, ambition, and the desperate human need to outrun time. Each demise is a thread, pulling us back to palaces and battlefields, to moments when history turned on a single strange breath. This niche isn't just about how they died. It's about what their deaths reveal, about the cultures, fears, and quirks of the worlds they left behind. And then there's another story we'll weave in, one that stands apart from these royal fumbles. A woman not born to a throne, but to a quiet life of poetry and illness, who steps into history's spotlight when her city needs her most. Her tale isn't about a crown or a comical end. It's about courage, about a voice that rises when all seems lost. She's the counterpoint to our kings and queens, a reminder that history holds more than thrones. It holds people who, without gold or titles, change everything. Her story, like the others, is part of this niche, this tapestry of human moments that are absurd, tragic, and sometimes heroic, all stitched together by the simple truth that no one escapes the final curtain. What makes this niche so perfect for a night like this? It's the way it hums with life, even in stories of death. These aren't dry chronicles or dusty tomes. They're human, messy, alive with the kind of details that make you smile as you drift off. A Viking's bravado, a pope's scandal, a poetess's defiance. They're not just history. They're stories, the kind that settle into your bones, that make the past feel close, like a friend whispering in the dark. And they're safe, friend. No nightmares here. Just the soft rhythm of lives lived long ago. Their endings a gentle reminder that even the mighty trip over life's surprises. So, as we linger here, imagine yourself in a quiet hall, the echoes of royal courts and forgotten cities all around. The tavern's glow, the battlefield's dust, the poet's verse they're waiting, just beyond the firelight. We'll step closer soon to meet a king who loved dessert too much, a warrior felled by a trophy's bite, and a woman who turned words into war. For now, you're here, in this niche of strange endings and quiet triumphs, where history hums like a lullaby. Let the weight of the day slip away. Let the stories carry you. Close your eyes, friend, and let's begin to wander, one sleepy step at a time. You're drifting in the quiet glow of history's odd corners, friend, where the echoes of royal courts and their strange endings still linger from our first wander through their world. The firelight of those grand halls has faded, leaving us with a soft hum of stories, each one a thread in this niche of human folly and fleeting glory. Now, as the night settles deeper, let's step into one tale that's as rich as it is ridiculous. A story of a king who met his end not with a sword or a crown, but with a spoon in hand. We're in Sweden, in the chilly winter of 1771, with King Adolf Fredrik, a man whose love for a certain dessert turned a quiet evening into a legend. So, ease back, let the embers crackle in your mind, and let's savor this tale, carried gently like a breeze through a frosted window. The air in Stockholm is crisp, friend, the kind that bites your cheeks and makes you long for a warm hearth. It's February, and the royal palace is a world of flickering candles and heavy drapes, where King Adolf Fredrik, a man of mild manners and modest ambitions, sits at his table. He's not a warrior king, not a conqueror carving empires. His reign is steady, his reforms quiet, his days filled with the gentle hum of governance. But tonight, he's not thinking of laws or ledgers. He's thinking of indulgence, of a meal to soothe the weight of a crown that, truth be told, he wears lightly. The table before him groans under a feast fit for royalty: lobster, glistening with butter, caviar heaped in silver bowls, sauerkraut's tangy bite, smoked herring, and flutes of champagne, not one but several, bubbling like laughter. It's a spread to make any heart sing, but for Adolf Fredrik, it's just the prelude to the real star semla. If you've never met a semla, picture a soft roll, fragrant with cardamom, its heart filled with almond paste and crowned with whipped cream, served in a bowl of warm milk. It's a Scandinavian delight, rich and heavy, the kind of treat you savor slowly, one bite at a time. Most folks stop at one, maybe two if they're feeling bold, but Adolf Frederick, he's not very folk. He's a king, and tonight, his appetite knows no bounds. The servants bring the semla, one after another, each roll a cloud of sweetness, each bowl a warm embrace. One becomes two, then 5, then 10. The court watches, their smiles tightening. By the 12th, a murmur ripples through the room, perhaps a pause. Your Majesty? A brave soul might have whispered. But the king, cream on his lips, waves them off, his spoon diving into the 13th, then the 14th. 14 semlas, friend. A number that sounds less like a meal and more like a challenge to fate. What was he thinking, you wonder, as he reached for that final roll? Maybe it was joy, pure and simple, the kind that comes from a perfect bite. Maybe it was defiance, a king proving he could do as he pleased, even if it was just a dessert. Or maybe he was lost in the moment, the world narrowing to milk and cream, the palace fading away. Whatever it was, it didn't last. Later that evening, the joy turned to discomfort. A twinge in his stomach grew to cramps, then pain sharp enough to steal his breath. He collapsed, his court scrambling, their whispers turning to panic. The royal physicians, with their quills and solemn faces, recorded the cause of digestive problems, a polite way to say the king ate himself into eternity, his body unable to bear the weight of his indulgence. This wasn't murder, friend, nor betrayal. No assassin lurked, no poison tainted the cream. It was just a man, a king, and a dessert that loved him too well. His death sent ripples through Sweden, not of chaos, but of quiet shock. A peaceful reign, a gentle ruler, gone in a way no one could have predicted. His legacy? Some administrative reforms, a steady hand on the throne, and a story that's outlived them all. The king who met his end in a bowl of semla. It's absurd, yes, but there's a charm in it, a human truth beneath the crown. He didn't fall in battle or fade in a grand bed. He went out chasing sweetness, a choice as bold as it was fatal. This tale, this niche of pastry and peril, is more than a chuckle. It's a glimpse into a world where even kings could be undone by their own desires, where a single night could rewrite a legacy. It's a reminder, too, that history loves a twist, that the grandest lives can end in the smallest moments. As we drift onward, we'll meet another monarch whose final moment was just as humble, but in a far less delicious place, a privy where dignity took a different kind of fall. For now, let the scent of cardamom, the clink of a spoon, the palace's soft glow hold you. You're here, in this niche of strange fates, part of its quiet, sugary spell. Close your eyes, friend, and let the story carry you, soft as cream, into the night. The scent of cardamom and warm milk still lingers, friend, as we drift from the Swedish palace where King Adolf Frederick's sweet indulgence carried him away. That cozy glow of candlelit feasts fades now, leaving us in the quiet hum of history's stranger tales, this niche where grandeur stumbles into the absurd. As the night wraps us tighter, let's wander to a different court, across the sea to England in 760 and 60, where another monarch's final moment was less about decadence and more about, well, a very private misadventure. We're with King George II, a ruler of empires, whose end came not in glory but in a place where even kings are merely mortal. So, settle deeper into your chair, let the embers' soft crackle guide you, and let's tiptoe into this tale, swaying gently like shadows on a London wall. It's a brisk October morning in Kensington Palace, friend. The air sharp with autumn's bite, the corridors hum with the soft shuffle of servants, their breath visible in the chilly dawn. King George II, in his late 70s, wakes feeling a touch unsteady, his years weighing heavier than his crown. He's no young conqueror, no fiery leader rallying troops. His reign has been one of steady hands. Wars fought, colonies expanded, an empire stretching under his watchful eye. He's the Elector of Hanover, defender of the faith, a man whose name carries the weight of Britain's rising star. But today, he's just an aging king, grumbling through his morning routine, perhaps sipping tea, perhaps muttering about the day's letters. His courtiers hover, attentive but not alarmed. It's a day like any other, until it isn't. After a light breakfast, maybe a bit of bread and broth, he excuses himself for a moment of solitude, a visit to the privy, a necessity as old as humanity itself. Now, let's pause here, because the privy in a palace isn't some rough outhouse. Picture a chamber of polished wood, perhaps with a porcelain seat, gold-rimmed for royal dignity. It's tucked away, discreet, attended by servants trained to vanish at the right moment, their faces blank as stone. George settles in, maybe with a sigh, the weight of his years easing for a breath. The world outside parliaments, fleets, distant colonies falls away. It's just him, the quiet creak of the seat, the faint rustle of his robes. But then, in an instant, everything changes. A sharp pain, a gasp, and the king slumps forward, his heart betraying him with a sudden aortic aneurysm, a rupture in the body's greatest artery. By the time servants rush in, alerted by a thud or a missed return, it's over. King George II, ruler of an empire, is gone, found half-sitting, mid-task, in a place no ballad would dare describe. The court freezes, friend. Whispers ripple through velvet-draped halls. Servants exchange glances, unsure whether to speak or scatter. The royal physicians, with their quills and grave nods, record the cause as a heart ailment, which is true enough. But the truth, the full truth, leaks out, as truths always do in palaces. The king didn't die in a grand bed, nor on a battlefield. He met his end on the privy, his dignity left at half-mast. It's not the kind of story you carve into marble, not the kind you sing in hymns. Yet it spreads, carried by courtiers' hushed voices, by attendants who couldn't resist a tale so human, so humbling. The public hears a softened version. His Majesty died of natural causes. But the gossip, sharp as a winter wind, ensures the privy's role is never forgotten. What does this moment tell us, friend? In this niche of history's quirks, it's not just about the laughter, though you might smile at the thought of a king caught so unguarded. It's about the fragility of power, the way even an empire's master can be undone by a heartbeat. George II's reign was no small thing. He oversaw wars, built alliances, held Britain steady through turbulent years. Yet history, with its sly grin, remembers him most for this, a private exit that strips away the crown's sheen. It's a reminder that life doesn't care for titles, that the grandest stage can end in the smallest room. And there's a strange comfort in that, a whisper that we're all bound by the same frail threads, whether we wear silk or sackcloth. This tale, with its quiet shock and gentle irony, is a window into a world of wigs and protocol, where even the mighty must bow to nature's call. It's a story that hums with life, even in its ending, a soft echo of a time when a king's fall was as human as a servant's. As we sway onward, we'll cross seas again, to a windswept Viking shore, where another warrior's triumph turns to tragedy, not by a throne's betrayal, but by a foe who fights back from beyond the grave. For now, let the palaces hush, the privies creak, the morning's faint chill hold you. You're here, in this niche of fleeting rains and unexpected ends, part of its soft, shadowy spell. Close your eyes, friend, and let the story drift you further, like a leaf on a still pond. The hush of Kensington's chilly halls still clings to you, friend, as we drift from the quiet shock of King George II's private departure. The soft creak of that privy door fades, leaving us swaying in the gentle current of history's odd tales. this niche where the grand and the absurd entwine. Now, as the night's calm wraps us closer, let's sail across centuries and seas to a rugged northern shore, where the wind howls and waves crash against rocky cliffs. We're in the 9th century, with Sigurd the Mighty, a Viking earl whose triumph turned to tragedy not through battle's roar, but through a silent, sinister scratch. So, nestle into your blanket, let the distant sea's murmur fill your mind, and let's wander into this wild, windswept story, carried like driftwood on a restless tide. Imagine the Orkney Isles, friend, a land of jagged coasts and endless skies, where the sea is both friend and foe. Here, Sigurd Eysteinsson, known as the Mighty, carves his name with fire and steel. He's no silk-robed monarch sipping champagne in a gilded hall. Sigurd is a Viking, broad-shouldered and fierce, his beard braided, his eyes sharp as the axe at his side. He raids, he conquers, he terrifies the northern British Isles, a warlord whose saga is written in blood and salt. His days are filled with longships slicing through icy waves, with battles against rival chieftains who dare challenge his grip on these windswept lands. One such rival is Maelbrigda, a Scottish leader bold enough to stand against the Viking tide. Their feud is bitter, a clash of iron and pride, and when Sigurd finally meets Maelbrigda in combat, the outcome is as brutal as the sea itself. The chieftain falls, his life ended by Sigurd's blade, and the Viking stands victorious, his men roaring their approval. But Sigurd's story doesn't end with victory, friend. In a move that's pure Viking swagger, he decides to claim a trophy. He severs Maelbrigda's head, a grim prize to proclaim his dominance. With a warrior's grin, he ties the head to his saddle, its hair swinging like a banner as he rides home, his horse's hooves pounding the earth. It's a common enough practice in these rough times, a sign of triumph meant to cow enemies and thrill allies. The head bounces with each step, a silent testament to Sigurd's might. But here's where fate, with its sly chuckle, steps in. As the horse jostles along the rocky path, one of Maelbrigda's teeth, still jagged, still defiant, scrapes Sigurd's leg. It's a small wound, barely a nick, the kind you'd brush off with a laugh. Sigurd rides on, the sea wind in his hair, unaware that this tiny cut carries a deadly secret. In the 9th century, friend, a scratch isn't just a scratch. There are no healers with clean bandages, no medicines to tame infection. The wound festers, the skin around it reddening, then darkening. Pain creeps in, slow at first, then fierce. Sigurd, the Mighty, who felled armies and braved storms, weakens. His men watch, helpless. As the infection spreads, a silent enemy no axe can fight. Days pass, maybe weeks, and the warrior who conquered lands collapses, his strength drained by a foe already dead. The cause? A tooth, a bite from beyond the grave, turning triumph into tragedy. Sigurd's death is no hero's pyre, no saga sung by firelight. It's a cosmic jest, a warrior undone by his own trophy, a scratch that laughs louder than any battle cry. What do we make of this, friend, in this niche of history's quirks? It's not just the irony that pulls us in, though the image of a Viking felled by a dead man's tooth is sharp enough to spark a smile. It's the glimpse into a world of raw pride and rough justice, where a head on a saddle was as normal as a crown in a palace. Sigurd's tale shows us the Viking heart, bold, brutal, and blind to the small dangers that can topple the mighty. His conquests shaped the Northern Isles, but his end, so small and strange, is what lingers, a whisper that even warriors dance with fate's whims. There's a quiet comfort here, a reminder that life's twists spare no one, not even those who live by the sword. This story, with its salty winds and silent teeth, is a thread in our tapestry of odd endings, a saga that hums with the sea's restless song. As we drift onward, we'll cross to a distant land where a prince's fate is sealed not by battle or boast, but by a box and a father's grim choice. For now, let the waves crash, the horse's hoofbeats, the fire's faint glow hold you. You're here, in this niche of wild triumphs and stranger falls, part of its soft, salty spell. Close your eyes, friend, and let the story carry you, like a ship on a starlit sea. The Viking winds still whisper in your ears, friend, as we drift from the Orkney shores where Sigurd the Mighty fell to a silent foe's tooth. The sea's restless murmur fades, leaving us cradled in the soft glow of history's stranger tales, this niche where triumph twists into tragedy. Now, as the night's quiet deepens, let's journey far from those rugged cliffs to the humid air of 18th century Korea, where a palace hums with secrets and sorrow. Here, we meet Crown Prince Sado, a young heir whose fate was sealed not by battle or boast, but by a father's grim command and a wooden chest. So sink into your pillow, let the distant rustle of silk guide you, and let's slip into this haunting story, carried gently like moonlight on a still lake. It's July 1762, in Seoul, friend, the Joseon dynasty's heart, where the palace's tiled roofs gleam under a relentless summer sun. The air is thick, heavy with heat, that clings like a second skin. Crown Prince Sado, in his 20s, is the heir to King Yeongjo's throne, a young man born to privilege, groomed for power. But the palace is no haven for him. Sado's mind is a storm, his behavior a maze of shadows, violent outbursts, erratic whims, whispers of servants slain on a whim. He's said to roam the halls at night, sword in hand, muttering to himself, his eyes wild with thoughts no one can follow. To the court, he's a puzzle, a prince, too unpredictable to trust, too royal to cast aside. His father, King Yeongjo, is a Confucian ruler, calm and measured, his reign built on order and appearances. To him, Sado's chaos is a threat, a crack in the dynasty's polished facade. The tension between father and son simmers. Friend, a silent battle of duty and despair. Executing a prince would be unthinkable, politically ruinous, spiritually taboo. Yet letting Sado live, unchecked, risks the throne's stability. Yeongjo, torn between love and law, chooses a path as cruel as it is cunning. On a sweltering day, he orders Sado to a courtyard, where a large wooden rice chest waits, the kind used to store grain, its lid heavy, its walls unyielding. The prince, perhaps confused, perhaps resigned, is commanded to step inside. The lid closes, sealed tight, and the chest becomes a tomb. No blade, no trial, just a slow, suffocating end. The summer heat presses in, the air inside growing stale, the walls offering no mercy. Sado endures for 8 agonizing days, his strength fading, his world shrinking to darkness and despair. When the chest is finally opened, the prince is gone, his life extinguished by heat, hunger, and a father's decree. The palace falls silent, friend, but the silence is heavy with whispers. The court, bound by loyalty, records the death as divine judgment, a phrase as vague as it is convenient. But the truth, raw and unyielding, seeps through the cracks. Sado was riceboxed to death, a phrase that carries the weight of a dynasty's shame. The king's decision shocks even those hardened by palace politics. It's not just the cruelty, it's the intimacy of it. A father choosing such a personal, protracted end for his son. Sado's son, Jeongjo, would later rise to become one of Korea's greatest kings, but the rice chest's shadow never faded. The court moved on, but the story lingered, a wound in the Joseon legacy, whispered in markets and memorials, a tale of power turned inward, consuming its own. What echoes in this, friend? In this niche of history's somber corners, it's not the absurdity of a dessert or a tooth's revenge, but a deeper sorrow, a glimpse into a world where honor and fear forged a tragic choice. The rice chest is more than a death. It's a mirror, reflecting a dynasty's obsession with control, a father's struggle with a son's unraveling mind, and a society where mental illness was a curse, not a condition. Sato's story hums with the weight of unspoken pain, a reminder that even palaces hide shadows, that even princes can be lost to silence. There's a quiet ache here, a soft warning that power, unchecked, can turn love to cruelty. This tale, with its humid air and sealed wood, is a thread in our weave of strange fates, a story that lingers like a sigh in a darkened hall. As we glide onward, we'll step into a lighter, yet no less peculiar scene, where a king's laughter becomes his undoing, not through sorrow, but through a jester's jest. For now, let the palaces hush, the chest's faint creak, the night's gentle warmth hold you. You're here, in this niche of whispered tragedies and fleeting rains, part of its soft, somber spell. Close your eyes, friend, and let the story drift you further, like a lantern on a quiet stream. The Viking seas still murmur in your dreams, friend, as we drift from the windswept cliffs where Sigurd the Mighty fell to a foe's silent tooth. The echo of hooves on rocky paths fades, leaving us cradled in the gentle sway of history's stranger tales, this niche where victory bends into sorrow. Now, as the night's hush deepens, let's journey far from those northern shores to the stifling heat of 18th century Korea, where a palace pulses with whispers and grief. Here, we meet Crown Prince Sado, a prince whose end came not through conquest or chance, but in a wooden chest sealed by a father's resolve. So, curl into your blanket, let the faint rustle of distant silk fill your mind, and let's glide into this somber story, carried softly like a petal on a warm breeze. It's July 1762 in Seoul, friend, the Joseon dynasty's heart, where the palace's curved roofs shimmer under a sun that offers no mercy. The air is heavy, thick with summer's unrelenting warmth, the kind that makes every breath feel borrowed. Crown Prince Sado, a young man in his 20s, is heir to King Yeongjo's throne, born to wear the dragon robe, trained to rule with wisdom. But Sado is no steady scholar or calm successor. His mind is a tempest, his actions a riddle sudden rages, servants struck down in fits of fury, nights spent wandering the palace with a blade, his voice lost in shadows only he can see. To the court, he's a storm too wild to harness, a prince whose brilliance is eclipsed by chaos. King Yeongjo, his father, is a Confucian monarch, a man of ritual and restraint, his reign a tapestry of order. To him, Sado's turmoil is a threat, a flaw that could unravel the dynasty's honor. The rift between them grows, friend, a silent wound festering beneath the palace's polished surface. To execute a prince would shatter tradition, staining the throne with blood and shame. Yet to let Sato's unpredictability reign risks rebellion or ruin. Yeongjo, torn between duty and despair, chooses a path as cold as it is calculated. On a sweltering afternoon, he summons Sato to a courtyard where a wooden rice chest stands, its grain-stained planks sturdy, its purpose grim. The prince, perhaps sensing the weight of his father's gaze, steps inside, the lid closing with a thud that echoes like a verdict. No sword is drawn, no poison poured, just a box, sealed tight, left to bake under the July sky. The heat inside is a furnace, the air thinning with each passing hour. Sado endures for 8 days, his strength fading, his world reduced to darkness and desperation, until life slips away, leaving only silence. The palace holds its breath, friend, but the quiet is laced with dread. Courtiers avert their eyes. Scribes pen the death as divine judgment. a phrase that cloaks the truth in reverence. Yet the story seeps out, raw and unyielding, carried by whispers in the streets. Sado was entombed alive, a prince lost to a father's command, a dynasty's need for control. The act stuns even those versed in palace intrigue, not for its violence, but for its intimacy. A father choosing such a slow, deliberate end. Sado's son, Jeongjo, would later ascend as a revered king, but the rice chest shadow clung to the Joseon name, a tale of sacrifice and sorrow etched into Korea's heart. What resonates here, friend, in this niche of history's quiet tragedies? It's not the irony of a warrior's scratch or the folly of a feast, but a deeper ache, a window into a world where honor could birth cruelty. The rice chest reveals a dynasty's fear of disorder, a father's anguish over a son's fractured mind, a society where inner storms were met with silence, not solace. Sado's fate whispers of power's heavy price, of lives shaped by expectation's unyielding grip. There's a tender sadness here, a soft reminder that even in palaces, human hearts break under burdens unseen. This story, with its stifling heat and sealed wood, is a thread in our weave of peculiar fates, a lament that hums like a distant bell. As we float onward, we'll step into a lighter scene, where a king's mirth turns fatal, not through grief, but through a jester's playful words. For now, let the palace's stillness, the chest's faint groan, the night's warm embrace hold you. You're here, in this niche of shadowed reigns and solemn ends, part of its soft, mournful spell. Close your eyes, friend, and let the story drift you further, like a star's light on a calm sea. The heavy air of Seoul's palace still clings to you, friend, as we drift from the somber courtyard where Crown Prince Sado's life faded inside a wooden chest. The soft rustle of silk and the weight of that silent tragedy slip away, leaving us swaying in the gentle tide of history's peculiar tales, this niche where sorrow gives way to the absurd. Now, as the night's calm wraps us tighter, let's wander to the sunlit halls of 15th century Aragon, where a king's mirth turned fatal under the flicker of candlelight, where with King Martin, a ruler whose end came not through grief or guile, but through a jester's jest that sparked too much laughter. So, nestle deeper into your cocoon, let the faint echo of a chuckle guide you, and let's ease into this whimsical story, carried like a breeze through an open window. It's 14 Teton in Barcelona, friend, a city alive with the hum of trade and the scent of olive groves. The royal court is a maze of stone and tapestries, where King Martin of Aragon, an aging monarch, holds sway. He's no young firebrand, no warrior storming battlefields. Martin is a steady hand, his reign a patchwork of diplomacy and disputes, his days spent navigating the thorny politics of a kingdom stretched across Spain's rugged heart. But lately, his health falters, his body plagued by indigestion, a nagging ache that keeps him tethered to his bed. The court buzzes with concern, physicians muttering about remedies, courtiers tiptoeing around their ailing king. On this particular evening, Martin, weary of broth and bedrest, craves something lighter, something to lift the fog of his ailment. He summons his jester, a wiry man with a quick tongue, and demands a tale, a quip, anything to stir his spirits. The stage is set, the candles burn low, and the jester steps forward, ready to weave his magic. The jester's voice cuts through the room, sharp and playful. "Why so late, fool?" Martin asks, his tone gruff but curious. The jester grins, spinning a story as only he can. "I saw a deer hanging by its tail from a fig tree, Your Majesty, and wondered if the gods were punishing it for stealing fruit." The image is absurd. A deer, a tree, a divine prank, and something in it catches Martin like a spark on dry grass. He laughs, a deep, rolling chuckle that shakes his frame. The court, tense with worry, joins in, their giggles a soft chorus. But Martin doesn't stop. The laughter grew, wild and unrestrained, his face flushed, his breath short. The jester, sensing his triumph, leans into the jest, but the king's mirth turns frantic. He gasps, clutches his chest, and collapses, the room falling silent as the candles flicker. The physicians rush in, their faces grim. The cause? Indigestion, they say, worsened by uncontrollable laughter. A fatal blend of a weak body and a joke too sharp. The court is stunned, friend. The silence as heavy as the tapestries. A king, dead from a jester's words? It's unthinkable, yet undeniable. Whispers spread, soft at first, then bold, carrying the tale beyond the palace walls. The official record is polite, noting Martin's passing from illness. But the truth, gleeful and absurd, takes root in Aragon's streets. He laughed himself to death, they say, the deer and the fig tree becoming a legend that outlives his laws. The succession that follows is messy, a tangle of claims that shakes the kingdom. But the story of Martin's end remains, a bright thread in history's weave, a moment when joy turned fatal. It's not the legacy he sought, but it's the one he left, a chuckle echoing through centuries. What lingers here, friend, in this niche of history's playful quirks? It's not the tragedy of a sealed fate, or the irony of a warrior's wound, but a fleeting delight, a glimpse into a world where a single laugh could topple a throne. Martin's tale reveals a court alive with wit, where jesters held power to heal or harm, where even a king's body could betray him in a moment of glee. It's a soft reminder that life's lightest moments can carry the heaviest weight, that even rulers are bound by the body's fragile whims. There's a warmth in this, a gentle nudge to savor joy, but perhaps not too fiercely. This story, with its candlelit jests and sudden silence, is a note in our melody of odd fates, a tale that dances like laughter in a quiet hall. As we float onward, we'll journey to a distant empire where an emperor's quest for eternity led to poison, not through mirth, but through a shimmering, deadly dream. For now, let the jesters quip, the court's faint echo, the echo of a jester's jest, still dances in your mind, friend, as we drift from the candlelit halls of Aragon, where King Martin's laughter turned fatal. The soft chuckle of that court fades, leaving us swaying in the quiet tide of history's odd tales, this niche where fleeting joys twist into unexpected ends. Now, as the night's stillness deepens, let's journey far across time and seas to the ancient heart of China, where a ruler's ambition burned brighter than any star. We're in grim 3 century BCE with Emperor Qin Shi Huang, a titan whose quest for eternal life led not to glory, but to a shimmering deadly poison. So, curl tighter into your blanket, let the distant hum of a distant empire guide you, and let's slip into this tale, carried gently like a leaf on a tranquil river. It's a crisp dawn in the Qin dynasty, friend, where the land stretches vast under a sky of endless blue. The palace at Xianyang is a marvel of lacquered wood and jade, its corridors alive with the rustle of silk and the murmur of scribes. Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the first to unify China, is no mere king. He's a force builder of the Great Wall's earliest stones, creator of the Terracotta Army, a ruler who standardized coins, roads, and script, binding a fractured land into one. His ambition knows no bounds, his will reshaping the earth itself. But beneath the emperor's iron resolve lies a fear as old as humanity's death. Qin Shi Huang, for all his power, dreads the day his breath will falter. He dreams not just of ruling forever, but of living forever, his name etched not only in stone, but in time's unyielding scroll. To this end, he turns to his court's alchemists, men of mystic words and gleaming promises, tasking them with crafting an elixir to defy the grave. The alchemists, eager to please, present a solution: mercury pills, tiny orbs that shimmer like liquid starlight. To the emperor, they're not poison but magic, a potion to make him immortal. The science is absent. Mercury, we know now, is a silent killer. But in ancient China, its glow whispers of power, of gods. Qin Shi Huang, convinced he's been drinking eternity, takes the pills daily, their metallic tang a ritual as sacred as his morning decrees. He travels east, seeking more secrets of everlasting life, his entourage trailing through mist-shrouded mountains. But as the weeks pass, his body betrays him. His thoughts grow clouded, his temper sharpens, paranoia creeps like ivy. The court notices whispers of the emperor's strange moods, his long absences, but none dare speak. On one such journey, in 210 BCE, he collapses, his strength sapped, his life slipping away. The cause? Mercury poisoning, the very elixir he trusted to cheat death, delivering him to it instead. The palace scrambles. Friend, the silence thick with dread. To hide the emperor's death and prevent chaos, his advisors conceal his body, traveling with a cart of rotting fish to mask the decay, a grim parade for a man who sought eternity. The court's secrecy holds, but the truth, like water, finds its way. Qin Shi Huang, unifier of China, was poisoned by his own dream, his quest for immortality, a fatal irony. His tomb, a hidden mountain guarded by rivers of mercury, remains unopened, a testament to his ambition and his folly. His son would falter, the dynasty crumbling soon after, but the emperor's name endures, tied not just to walls and warriors, but to a shimmering pill that promised forever and gave only silence. What hums in this, friend, in this niche of history's strange turns? It's not the mirth of a jester's quip or the sorrow of a sealed fate, but a poignant paradox, a glimpse into a world where ambition outran wisdom. Qin Shi Huang's tale reveals an empire of boundless vision, where alchemists spun dreams from metal, where a ruler's fear of death birthed a poison sweeter than life. It's a soft whisper that even the mightiest can fall to their own desires, that the search for forever can end in a fleeting breath. There's a quiet lesson here, a gentle nudge to embrace the moment, not chase what cannot be held. This story, with its gleaming pills and hidden tombs, is a thread in our tapestry of peculiar endings, a melody that lingers like a distant chime. As we glide onward, we'll step into a sacred hall where a young pope's scandalous life met a sudden, whispered end, not through ambition, but through forbidden passion. For now, let the alchemists murmur, the palace's faint echo, the night's tender hush hold you. You're here, in this niche of grand dreams and stranger falls, part of its soft, mystic spell. Close your eyes, friend, and let the story drift you further, like a star's glow on a silent plain. The shimmer of mercury pills still glints in your thoughts, friend, as we drift from the ancient courts of China, where Emperor Qin Shi Huang's quest for eternity turned to dust. The quiet hum of that distant palace fades, leaving us swaying in the gentle current of history's wilder tales, this niche where ambition bends into folly. Now, as the night's hush wraps us closer, let's wander to the sacred halls of 10th century Rome, where a young pope's reckless heart led to a whispered, scandalous end. We're with Pope John XII, a spiritual leader whose life burned bright with sin, his final moments sealed not by prayer, but by passion's reckless flame. So, sink into your pillow, let the faint echo of church bells guide you, and let's glide into this tale, carried softly like a candle's glow in a darkened nave. It's 955 AD in Rome, friend, a city of crumbling marbles and soaring basilicas, where the Tiber's murmur mingles with the chant of monks. The Vatican is no serene sanctuary, but a stage for power, its corridors thick with intrigue and incense. Here, Octavianus, a mere 18 years old, ascends to the papacy as John XII, a boy thrust into the shoes of St. Peter before he's old enough to shave. He's no sage cleric, no shepherd of souls. John is a nobleman's son, his election a tangle of family ties and Roman politics, his heart more drawn to revelry than reverence. The papal palace, meant to echo with hymns, became a den of excess under his rule. He gambles with sacred coin, drinks deep into the night, and, if chroniclers are believed, raises toasts to the devil during Mass. His court is less a seat of Christendom than a raucous feast, where bishops rub shoulders with rogues, and the air hums with scandal's electric charge. John's reign is a storm, friend. His actions a blur of defiance. He ordains a child as bishop, blesses a noble's mistress, and fills the Lateran palace with whispers of debauchery. Yet, for all his flaws, he's a political player, forging alliances, wielding the church's might to sway kings and emperors. But it's his personal life that writes his final chapter. In 964, after nearly a decade of chaos, John's recklessness caught up with him. The story, passed down through chroniclers' quills, is as bold as it is blurred. One night, away from the Vatican's prying eyes, John is said to be with a married woman, their stolen moments hidden in a quiet chamber. The details are murky. Some say a bedroom, others a secluded villa, but the outcome is clear. Mid-embrace, John suffers a stroke, a sudden seizure of the heart, and collapses, his life extinguished in a moment of forbidden desire. He's 27, his papacy a fleeting, fiery scandal. The Vatican reels, friend. The silence as sharp as a cracked bell. No official record confirms the tale monks, wary of shame, pen vague notes of a sudden illness, but the rumor, juicy and unyielding, spreads like wildfire. A pope, dead in another man's bed? It's too shocking to silence, too scandalous to forget. Courtiers whisper, rivals gloat, and Rome's streets buzz with the tale of a pontiff undone by passion. Some call it slander, a smear to tarnish a controversial reign. Others swear by its truth, pointing to John's notorious habits. Either way, the story sticks, a stain on the papacy's white robes. His death marks the end of a tumultuous era, his successors scrambling to restore the church's honor. But the scandal lingers, a legend that outlives his brief, brazen rule. What resonates here, friend, in this niche of history's bold missteps? It's not the irony of a poisoned dream, or the mirth of a fatal jest, but a vivid pulse, a glimpse into a world where sacred vows clashed with human hunger. John XII's tale unveils a Rome of faith and frailty, where a young pope's excesses turned the holy into havoc, where a single night could rewrite a legacy. It's a soft reminder that even those cloaked in divinity are bound by the body's urges, that power can amplify folly as much as virtue. There's a quiet thrill in this, a gentle nod to the chaos that hums beneath even the holiest facade. This story, with its whispered sins and sudden fall, is a thread in our weave of peculiar fates, a chant that echoes like a hymn in a shadowed chapel. As we float onward, we'll step into a sunlit garden where a king's stroll with his dog meets a bizarre, furry foe, not through scandal, but through a primate's unexpected bite. For now, let the bell's faint toll, the palace's hushed intrigue, the night's tender embrace hold you. You're here, in this niche of sacred storms and stranger ends, part of its soft, flickering spell. Close your eyes, friend, and let the story drift you further, like a prayer on a starlit breeze. The whispers of Rome's scandalous halls still echo softly, friend, as we drift from the shadowed chamber where Pope John XII's passion met its sudden end. The faint chime of church bells fades, leaving us cradled in the gentle sway of history's bolder tales, this niche where vice gives way to valor. Now, as the night's quiet deepens, let's wander to the sunlit hills of 5th century BCE Argos, where a poetess's voice turned to a warrior's cry. We're with Telesilla, a woman whose frail body belied a fierce spirit, leading her city's women to defy a Spartan tide. So, nestle into your warmth, let the distant hum of lyres guide you, and let's slip into this tale, carried like a breeze over olive groves. It's around 494 BCE in Argos, friend, a Peloponnesian city of stone walls and sacred groves, where the air hums with the scent of thyme and dust. Telesilla, born to a noble house, is no warrior queen, no ruler clad in gold. She's a poet, her youth marked by illness, her days once spent in bed, frail and fading. Seeking healing, she consults the Delphic oracle, who bids her serve the muses. Telesilla turns to poetry, her verses to Apollo and Artemis, weaving beauty and strength, her health blooming as her fame grows. Her words, sung by women at festivals, earn her a place among Greece's 9 lyric poets, her Telesillian meter a spark of genius. But Argos faces a darker hour. Spartan King Cleomenes I crushes the city's army at Sapia, slaying thousands, burning survivors in a sacred grove. With the men gone, Cleomenes marches on a city stripped of defenders, expecting surrender. Telesilla, though, sees no defeat, friend. Her poet's heart beats with fire. She rallies Argos's women, mothers, daughters, widows, arming them with spears from temples, shields from homes, even stones and tools. Young and old, they train under her command, not as soldiers but as guardians of their hearths. Telesilla, donning armor herself, stations them along the city walls, their presence a defiant illusion of strength. As the Spartans approach, expecting an empty city, they find a line of women, unwavering, their war cries echoing. Cleomenes hesitates. To slaughter women would tarnish Spartan honor. To lose to them would be shame eternal. The Spartans withdraw, Argos stands, and Telesilla's courage becomes legend. Some doubt her role, citing Herodotus' silence, but Pausanias and Plutarch immortalize her, and a festival, Hybristica, celebrates the women's valor. What lingers here, friend, in this niche of history's shining moments? It's not the scandal of a fallen pope or the irony of a poisoned dream, but a radiant defiance, a glimpse into a world where a woman's words could wield power as sharp as steel. Telesilla's tale, whether fully true or woven with myth, unveils an Argos where courage wore no crown, where poetry birthed bravery. Her statue, etched with a helmet and scattered scrolls, stood by Aphrodite's temple, a nod to love and strength entwined. Her verses, though few remain, inspired women for centuries, a beacon of resilience. It's a soft whisper that heroes rise unbidden, that even the frail can forge the future. This story, with its clashing spears and sung hymns, is a thread in our tapestry of bold fates, a melody that hums like a chorus under starlight. As we drift onward, we'll pause to reflect on these strange and splendid tales, weaving their lessons into a final, quiet note before sleep claims us. For now, let the women's shouts, the lyre's faint strum, the night's tender hush hold you. You're here, in this niche of poet's fire and warrior's heart, part of its soft, radiant spell. Close your eyes, friend, and let the story carry you, like a wave on a moonlit shore.